In the news this week, back-to-back against coronavirus racism, One Nation and the Greens united against anti-Asian sentiment.
Funding fight calls for greater royalties for regions funds in the push for better environmental protection.
Time to step in as financial pressure tightens on dairy farmers. Is more market regulation the solution?
And love is in the air as Valentine's Day continues to bring a business boom for local florists.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. One Nation and the Greens find themselves on opposite sides of most issues, but the prospect of coronavirus racism has the minor parties speaking out together. Both parties have condemned the anti-Asian sentiment. The WA Greens said they are disturbed, while One Nation says it shows a lack of common sense. Helene Fong reports.
Since the beginning of the coronavirus crisis, reports of racist abuse and name-calling have concerned many people, both within the Chinese community and outside of it. State Greens MP Diane Evers said the legitimate health issue was being overshadowed by where the virus had come from.
I don't think why people would assume just by the colour of somebody's skin or their previous nationality would make them more likely to have this virus.
One Nation MLC Colin Tignall said that anyone avoiding Asian businesses or lashing out at Asian Australians lack common sense.
As a West Australians, all of our party, all of our members would have concerns about anything when it comes to, blaming a race of people because there's a virus which happened to come from that country. That is just ridiculous.
Ms Evers said there was currently no law or policy being considered for development to stop racist abuse across the state and in the federal level. However, she said that racism was completely unacceptable.
The things that we're hearing now are just, as I said, very disturbing.
Mr Tignall still supported the China travel ban, saying that the government could not afford a wishy-washy response to the crisis, even if it impacted local industries.
These are the consequences when we have a deadly disease travelling around the world.
Helene Fong, WAMN News.
The WA Greens are upping the push for better protection of the environment, calling for it to be a bigger part of regional spending. They want a minimum portion of royalties for regions funds for environmental rehabilitation and preservation, launching a petition for support after introducing an amendment bill for the funding. Nelson Liu has the interview.
You've introduced the Royalties for Regions Amendment Bill, so what's the progress been?
I'm not expecting too much progress. I think introducing the bill as a Greens member is really to put it in front of the face of the government and hope that they take it up. What I am hoping to do, though, is bring it on for a debate in the House later in the year so that I can hear other members, and see what they have to say.
In a petition you're calling for at least 10% to be diverted to the environment. Why 10% and not a lot more?
Well, as I said, it's $100 billion. It might be less than that from one year to the next, but I think 10% is a good start.
When we're talking about this money and the environment, how badly is it needed?
Very badly. They're running on the smell of an oily rag. They're running by the skin of their teeth, trying to get some work done, going from one year to the next, not certain as to whether they're going to be able to complete the projects. In the meantime, the feral animal population is increasing, meaning we're losing more species, we're losing more of our native animals. Weeds are well out of hand.
Have you heard anything of what's being said at the moment?
Well, only a bit of hearsay. I think the right side of politics who were there when they first introduced the Royalties for Regions Act, they're quite happy with how it is. They think it's worked well and everything's fine and we'll just leave it as it is. What I think, though, is that there's a problem because it talks about being there for the economy and for business and for society. And I'm thinking usually when we go to that sort of triple bottom line sort of thing, it's the economy, the environment and society, and I think the environment has been left out of it.
Dairy farmers desperate to keep their family businesses viable are beginning to wonder if government regulation could be the solution that keeps them on the land. WA Farmers CEO Trevor Whittington believes cheap milk led to the downfall of farmers and their families, at the same time deteriorating the next generation from taking over the family dairy business. Meanwhile, there are demands urging the state government to take leadership by helping to broker a deal between milk buyers and producers.
What's happening is the next generation are not putting their hand up to go home to the dairy farm, and people are making the decision to exit the industry. So, and that's usually after a long and painful period of losing money and seeing no light at the end of the tunnel.
Scams are on the rise in WA, with more people tricked out of more money in the state. WA ScamNet data released this week revealed a 17% jump in losses from scams in 2019, with Western Australia losing more than $13.6 million to scammers. Consumer Protection says scammers are becoming more advanced in their deceit and are advising people to exercise greater vigilance.
These days, scammers are organised criminals who are highly sophisticated, who are able to use masking technology and a range of other fraudulent mechanisms to dupe you into losing your money. It's very, very important that you follow our tips for things like online shopping, but also for just generally your own cybersecurity and safety.
A man is left in hospital after a sickening attack at Stirling train station this week, and WA police have arrested 5 youths following the investigation. Authorities say the group of schoolboys aged between 14 and 16-year-old assaulted a 20-year-old man at around 1:45 p.m. on Thursday, leaving him in a critical condition with head injuries. The victim was taken to Royal Perth Hospital for treatment. The group of youth has been charged with aggravated robbery and acts intending to cause grievous bodily harm. They will appear in Perth Children's Court in early March.
Britain's finance minister has resigned this week after Prime Minister Boris Johnson ordered him to fire his entire advisory team. Sajid Javid was considered safe in his job but refused to comply when Johnson used a cabinet reshuffle to put advisors from number 10 into the positions. Javid was immediately replaced by senior Treasury official Rishi Sunak. A former model who is one of the US president's most trusted aides will be rejoining the Donald Trump re-election campaign. Hope Hicks was one of Trump's original 2016 campaign staffers before joining the Fox Corporation as Chief Communications Officer. Hicks will work closely with Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner.
The season of love never fails to embrace some florists in Perth, keeping them busy this Valentine's Day. That is despite the flatlining of retail sector and the unexpected economic hit due to the coronavirus. After spending 10 years operating Perth CBD's premium florist Fox & Rabbit, store owner Rebecca Const agreed that love is in the air and says it's a privilege to see people's intimate side.
When we are writing and reading all the card messages for people, yeah, it's really sweet. The mushier the better, in my opinion. I think it's really nice when people are showing their emotions and being raw and honest and declaring their love, sometimes for the first time.
And amongst all the flowers, boys tend to go for red roses, whilst females are more open to different choices of flowers.
We could always buy our own flowers, Ivan.
We do deserve them, don't we? And that's our news and current affairs for this week. We have the latest news on the website and social media pages.
Until next Sunday after 8 p.m, thanks for watching. Have a pleasant evening.
Take care.